This is the entire timeline of the worst zombie perks explained. World at War, 2008. World at War was the first time zombies ever existed, so perks were a brand new experiment rather than a refined system. It makes sense that not every idea landed perfectly right away. Perks were introduced for the first time in World at War on the map Verrückt. These machines offered passive abilities in exchange for points, establishing a system that would become central to zombies' gameplay. However, not every perk introduced actually functioned in every mode. In World at War, the introduction of perks began with 4 core options. Among them, Juggernog was the essential perk for survival, providing increased health and allowing players to take more hits. Speed Cola improved reload speed, helping players manage the increasing waves of zombies. Double Tap increased fire rate without increasing damage, which often led to faster ammo depletion. Then along came Quick Revive, which reduced the time it took to revive teammates. In cooperative play, this effect worked as intended, but in solo play, it had no function at all. There was no self-revive mechanic in World at War. The perk did not prevent death, did not revive the player, and did not alter gameplay in any way. Despite this, Quick Revive was still purchasable in solo matches. The machine charged points, consumed a perk slot, and provided no benefit. The game offered no warning and no restriction. Players could spend resources on a perk that literally did nothing. If this was Stimshot, then we would be having an entirely different conversation, but it's not. This makes World at War Quick Revive the first objectively bad perk in zombies history. It was not situational. It was not niche. It was completely non-functional in solo play while still being sold to the player. Black Ops 1, 2010. In Black Ops 1, the perk system was refined and expanded with new additions that became fan favorites. PhD Flopper was introduced, preventing explosive and fall damage and allowing players to create explosions by diving to prone. Stamina Up improved player sprint speed and stamina, making it easier to navigate larger maps. Mule Kick allowed players to hold a third weapon, increasing flexibility at the cost of a higher initial investment. All of these perks provided tangible benefits without major drawbacks in most scenarios. However, Black Ops 1 also introduced the Deadshot Daiquiri on the map Call of the Dead. This perk improved hipfire accuracy and added aim assist that snapped the player's aim to a zombie's head when aiming down sights. In essence, no pun intended, Deadshot provided a mild convenience on console where aim assist was active. On PC, where aim assist didn't exist, it had basically no value. Deadshot offered no increase in damage, no guaranteed survivability, nor improved aim mobility, making it redundant for experienced players who naturally aimed for headshots. All it did was it consumed a perk slot while solving a problem that most players didn't have. This made the worst perks list because the game basically held your hand for you and gave you headshots with both eyes closed. If rewarding mediocre aiming skills was the goal, then hey, they succeeded. You might be thinking, these aren't so bad, right? But don't worry, they get much worse in the following games. Black Ops 2, 2012. Black Ops 2 was one of the most iconic Treyarch games ever. We loved every bit of it. Black Ops 2 marked the moment when bad perks stopped being unnecessary and started actively encouraging failure. Instead of providing constant benefits, some perks were designed to only activate after the player went down. Tombstone Soda was introduced on Transit in Town. The perk only activated when the player was downed. Instead of being revived, the player could choose to bleed out completely. On the next round, a tombstone marker would appear at the location of death. If the player reached it in time, they would recover their previous weapons and perks. In practice, this system failed. Transit's gigantic map size made tombstone retrieval unreliable, often spawning the player too far away to recover anything before it disappeared. Even when successful, the perk encouraged intentional death as part of normal play. Tombstone did nothing to prevent downs, offered no help during emergencies, and removed the player from the round entirely, increasing difficulty for teammates. Who's Who was introduced on Die Rise and attempted to replace Quick Revive. When the player went down, a clone spawned with a starting pistol. The player had to navigate the map and revive their own body. If the clone died, the game ended immediately. This design was fundamentally flawed. The starting pistol was ineffective beyond early rounds. Die Rise's vertical layout made reaching the body inconsistent or impossible. Zombies aggressively targeted the clone, turning the revive attempt into an unwinnable situation. Instead of offering a second chance, the perk introduced a new instant failure condition. Tombstone and Who's Who represent the worst design shift in zombies perk history. Both perks only function after failure, provide no preventative benefit, and actively increase risk. Black Ops 2 proved that a perk can work exactly as intended and still undermine the core objective of staying alive. Black Ops 3 2015. By the time Black Ops 3 released, Zombies was a fully established mode with years of iteration behind it, meaning bad perk design was no longer experimentation but a conscious decision. Black Ops 3 did not introduce new fundamentally bad perks. Instead, it carried forward existing weak designs into a system where they were no longer worth interacting with. Sure, several perks continued to provide clear, reliable value without complicating gameplay. Juggernog for survivability, Speed Cola added reload efficiency, and Double Tap 2.0 ensured weapons scaled effectively. Stamina Up supported larger maps, all acceptable. However, the biggest beef that Zombies players had in Black Ops 3 was that Mule Kick also returned, continuing to grant a third weapon slot. I know there are always players out there who will defend the Mule Kick, but in this game, it was the most notable bad perk. To make use of the perk, players had to invest additional time and points into acquiring and upgrading an extra weapon through the mystery box, pack-a-punch, and repeated ammo purchases. This made the perk expensive beyond its initial cost. When the player went down, Mule Kick removed the third weapon immediately. That weapon could not be recovered unless very specific conditions were met, meaning all points and upgrades invested into it were permanently lost, unlike other perks that offered recovery, safety, or second chances. Mule Kick introduced a new punishment tied directly to failure. In Black Ops 3, most systems reduced the consequences of going down through revives, alternate ammo types, and powerful recovery tools, which was nice. Not Mule Kick, it actually worked in the opposite direction. It increased the penalty for mistakes by adding an extra loss condition that did not exist without the perk. As a result, Mule Kick did not make the player stronger. It increased long-term risk, encouraged overinvestment, and punished failure more harshly than not having the perk at all. Black Ops 4, 2018. Black Ops 4 had every tool, every lesson, and every prior failure to learn from, which makes its perk missteps impossible to excuse as growing pains or early design mistakes. Black Ops 4 removed traditional perk machines and replaced them with a loadout system. Players selected perks before the match, and each perk gained a stronger modifier effect if placed in a specific slot. The system exposed which perks lacked value unless artificially boosted. Okay, we know that strong perks were the ones that provided constant predictable value within the new loadout system. Perks like Dying Wish offered built-in survivability by preventing immediate downs, while Victorious Tortoise rewarded smart shield use with reliable protection. Stamina Up and Time Slip improved mobility and cooldown efficiency, supporting map control and setup speed. But Blaze Phase? This was one of the most criticized new perks introduced in this system. When activated, the perk caused the player to dash forward in a phase state, damaging zombies in the path. The ability had a cooldown and required manual activation. In practice, Blaze Phase conflicted with how zombies combat works. Movement in zombies relies on precision, spacing, and predictable routes. Players called it training. Blaze Phase disrupted that control by forcing sudden forward movement. Activating it could overshoot safe positions, place the player into zombie spawns, or break established training paths. The damage output from Blaze Phase was inconsistent and insufficient at higher rounds, meaning the risk of using it often outweighed the reward. Because it required activation rather than providing a constant benefit, mistimed use frequently created danger instead of preventing it. Blaze Phase also depended heavily on its modifier slot to feel useful. Without the modifier bonus, the perk offered little incentive to equip it at all. A perk that requires a specific slot just to function properly is not a strong perk. It is a weak perk, being propped up by the system around it. Black Ops Cold War, 2020. Black Ops Cold War replaced perk limits with a tier-based upgrade system that permanently enhanced perks outside of matches. This system ensured that every perk could become strong over time, but it also allowed weak-based designs to survive without being fixed. Elemental Pop and PhD Slider were cool, even Healing Aura was meh, but Death Perception returned as a purchasable perk focused on information. At its base level, the perk highlighted enemies, items, and objectives through walls. This provided awareness but did not improve survivability, damage output, or crowd control. In a mode where zombies constantly surround the player, knowing their location offers little practical advantage. The perk only became valuable after multiple tier upgrades were applied. These upgrades added bonuses such as increased armor damage, higher salvage drops, and weak point effectiveness. While these improvements made the perk stronger, they did not enhance its original purpose. They replaced it with unrelated benefits, and this created a structural problem. Death Perception was weak by design and only became viable through external progression. A perk that relies on upgrades to justify its existence has already failed at the base level. Players were not choosing Death Perception for what it was, they were choosing it for what it became after being stacked with bonuses. Death Perception in Cold War Zombies represents a new category of bad perk. It is not ineffective once fully upgraded, but its core design offers no meaningful impact. The upgrade system does not fix the perk. It hides the flaw by layering unrelated power on top of it. Black Ops 6, 2024. Black Ops 6 continued the tiered and upgrade-driven perk philosophy, but it leaned harder into perks designed around very specific playstyles. Melee Macchiato, the zombies perk that sounds like ordering a caramel macchiato with extra foam, with lactose-free milk, and a triple espresso add-on at Starbucks. Overpriced, overly sweet on paper, but leaves you punching air delusionally when the zombies swarm and your gun's still king. Melee Macchiato falls into this category by encouraging melee combat in a mode that is fundamentally built around range damage, crowd control, and space management. In practical terms, it is literally bringing a knife to a gunfight. The perk was designed to enhance melee combat by increasing effectiveness and interaction with close-range attacks. Zombies gameplay, especially in later rounds, discourages sustained melee use due to enemy density, hit stun, and limited escape options. Engaging zombies at close range significantly increases the chance of being overwhelmed. Using Melee Macchiato required additional investment into melee weapons, upgrades, and supporting systems. This investment did not translate into survivability. The perk did not prevent downs, improve movement, or provide recovery tools. It simply increased risk by encouraging a playstyle that zombies' mechanics normally punish. Outside of very specific scenarios, Melee Macchiato offered no consistent value. Choosing it meant sacrificing perks that provided constant defensive or offensive benefits. The perk worked as designed, but its design conflicted with how zombies is safely and efficiently played. Black Ops 7, 2025. While you're at Zombies Starbucks, if you're craving a warm beverage on the leafy side, indulge in Wisp Tea, the decaf herbal flop that floats around pretending to help while your team's getting mulched. Black Ops 7 introduced Wisp Tea as a 3,000-point perk available through the Wonder Fizz. Upon purchase, it spawns a blue wisp that automatically follows a zombie horde and kills zombies over time. The perk is fully automated. The wisp activates on its own, selects targets independently, and cannot be aimed, timed, or repositioned. Player interaction ends after purchase. It removes the need to react to zombies approaching from behind. It is effectively removing jump scares from zombies coming from your 6, which has always been a core part of the mode's tension and fun. In early rounds, Wisp Tea interferes with point generation by killing zombies outside of weapon-based farming, slowing setup and progression. Translation, you kill less zombies slower while getting way less essence just in time for the next round where you now face stronger and faster hordes of the undead, not ideals. Wisp Tea provides no survivability. Once again, like many other bad perks we covered, it does not prevent downs, offer escape options, or assist in recovery. If the player is overwhelmed, the perk offers no defensive benefit. Round-end protection prevents the wisp from killing the final zombie, ensuring it cannot finish rounds or clutch situations. At its cost, Wisp Tea competes with perks that provide direct control or protection. In exchange, it delivers passive damage that removes player agency and offers no help when failure occurs. Ready to exfil from these bad perks? Watch my Zombies Timeline video or upgrade to my Wonder Weapons video.